laying in here. Please forgive that this tank is a bit of a mess. I was out of town this weekend and my dad was taking care of all of my fish and everything for me. Thank you, Dad. But anyway, I just had him feed them and turn on and off their lights and make sure they were okay. I didn't have him aquascape or anything, and the goldfish like to tear up their plants and make big messes. But that's okay. So today I actually wanted to talk to you all about the difference between comet and common-bodied goldfish, because something I see online a lot is people confusing the two, and I understand why, because they both have they're both long-bodied goldfish, which means they're considered in the pond or very large tank. Actually, all goldfish are in the very large tank family, but they are generally considered the type of pond goldfish, long-bodied goldfish. And people confuse them because both comets and commons are often sold as quote-unquote feeder fish or fair fish, because they are very similar and they do crossbreed, as pretty much all breeds of goldfish will, and they do end up kind of thrown into the same category a lot, even by very professional goldfish keepers. So I just kind of wanted to go over this today. Commons, which is like this beautiful, beautiful fishy here, Dumbo Jumbo Jr. and Mrs. Goldfish, they are common-bodied. They are their bodies end right where their fin begins, and then their fin is short and does not have a very deep indent in it. On the other hand, Bernini here is a comet. And as you can see, his body is a little bit longer than the other two. So that's one thing. But also, his tail does not start to flare until it's already started quite a bit. So where you can see, pretty much as soon as the scales end on these other guys, it immediately goes into tail that starts forking out just into that little bitty fork. Whereas on Bernini, the comet, his tail forks very heavily, dips very heavily in the middle, and fans out a lot more, which is where they got the name comet. Like a comet shooting through the sky. Their care needs are all the same. Comets will get slightly bigger than commons, typically speaking, but they both get huge. They both are cold water fish, doing best between 65 and 75, though they can stand lower and they can stand higher for temporary periods of time. And they do look quite similar. They both can come in a wide variety of patterns and colors, and yeah, the big difference between them is that the commons' bodies are a little bit stouter than the comets. And of course that tail, that's the go-to, is always look at their tail. Does one fan out like a comet? Or does it just stay together? Just kind of end and help the fishy move. Another thing that is interesting about the naming of comets versus commons, and why I think people get confused, is because it is actually easier to breed a comet goldfish than a common. If you have a common and comet crossbreed, more of the babies will be comets than commons, which is counterintuitive because you think common, oh, that's the common goldfish. That's the most typical one. That is actually not true. Comets are the most typical one, and there is a slight difference between them. As always, I hope this was informative and helpful, and subscribe if you like these little informative videos and seeing into my fishy world, and comment if you disagree or have anything to add. I would love to hear it. Thank you. Bye bye, fishies.